Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Long Island. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Broadcasting live from the America First Media Campus. This is another episode of We Will Not Comply. Top of the morning to you. It's a snowy Friday morning here on Long Island, in Long Island, on Long Island, at Long Island, right here where we're at from the America First Media Campus. It's snowy. It's good to finally see the snow making a return, telling you and telling everybody that's out there that, yes, Old Man Winter, not to assume Old Man Winter's gender, but Old Man Winter is here, and it is not playing around. So good morning to everybody who is out there. Good morning to everybody who's awake. I know there's a lot of snow days today. I know there's a lot of different closures and disruptions to the morning. Enjoy yourselves today, and do your best to stay safe while all of this is going on. Let me raise this for just a moment. There we go. This way we're nice and tall. So it's snowing, and the snow should be done around I would say 10 to 11 a.m. here, but it was really coming down hard. And yes, I did get here this morning because I didn't leave last night. Excuse me. I did not leave last night. And so we are we are rolling this morning. And so just going to chat with you a little bit about what we're looking for. First off, I want to give a huge round of applause. You want to call it a shout out, you want to call it anything, to Bruce Blakeman of Nassau County. Okay? Bruce Blakeman of Nassau County, the new county executive of Nassau County, Long Island, the Bruce Blakeman. He won his election. In the red wave of 2021. Okay, this is Bruce Blakeman, the new Nassau County executive. Bruce Blakeman, before winning this race, during the campaign season and everything like that, Bruce Blakeman had appeared at many of Long Island's, and whether it was Suffolk County or Nassau County, Bruce Blakeman appeared at many of Long Island's Unmask the Kids rallies. So Bruce Blakeman had appeared at a lot of those at the beginning, at the inception of that movement. A lot of times he would show up to rallies and held for that particular cause, Unmask the Kids, parental choice, etc., which is nice. And sometimes you watch a politician get in front of a crowd and show up at a rally like that just because there's people there. And now we're seeing that politician, Bruce Blakeman, did that for completely other reasons, good reasons. All right? Bruce Blakeman didn't just show up to get votes. He's now acting on what he said he would do very, very quickly. And so Bruce Blakeman deserves all of our support, whether you're Nassau County or you're Suffolk County. Bruce Blakeman deserves to know that we appreciate what he's trying to do. Okay? Now, this does not mean we won the fight. This does not mean the battle is over. This does not mean Nassau County is essentially Florida. Doesn't mean that yet. But what does it mean? So what did Bruce Blakeman actually do? What did Bruce Blakeman actually do? Well, the long and short of it, and I'm going to be honest with you because I'm not here to tell you only what you want to hear, but I want to tell you things that I believe that you need to hear, right? Important. Put it in the right perspective. So what did Bruce Blakeman actually do, and how can that help? What we're after long term, okay? So Bruce Blakeman, the Nassau County executive, had signed 3 executive orders yesterday. Now, I don't love executive orders. I'm never going to claim to be a fan of executive orders, okay? But that is what he did. 3 executive orders and I'm going to look up the article from the Post, but Bruce Blakeman signed 3 executive orders, one of which would give powers back to the local school boards in Nassau County. Okay, it would give powers back of the to the local school boards in Nassau County. And essentially what that would do is allow each school board to vote on whether or not the children, the students in that district, would have to wear masks all day and not leave that up to the state. Okay, that is what Bruce Blakeman is trying to do. All right, article in the Post, and I'm going to include it in the show notes. Go to loudmajorityus.com, loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Okay, sign up for the newsletter. Head over to the shop. We got the sickest Let's Go Brandon shirts in the country. But head over to loudmajorityus.com. It's right up here. Okay, loudmajorityus.com. Head over there and sign up for the newsletter. You will never miss a thing. Our show is uploaded to YouTube. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, and yes, I know it's a problem. We have to go to Rumble. We're working on it. For those of you watching on YouTube, please hit the like button on the video. Please hit the subscribe button and turn your notifications on. Turn your notifications on for that, and share it with your friends. We've been growing at a very good clip. We're up over 100 YouTube subscribers over the last 7 days, so that's pretty good. Thank you guys for sharing and doing that. You're doing a fantastic job on all social media. So if you're on Twitter, retweet. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. If you're on Facebook, like, follow our page, and share the post. Distribution by proxy is the only way we're going to grow until Truth Social and a bunch of other platforms kick off where it's uncensored and everything like that. So let's keep an eye on everything that's going on there in the realm of social media. Stay in touch and keep hitting the share button. It's very important that we share out this content so the information gets out. So we're going to an article in the New York Post here, and the headline, or the title of the article there: Nassau County executive signs order defying Hochul's autocracy on mask mandates. So I'm going to read through the article, and then we'll talk about what Bruce Blakeman actually did and how it might inspire other action. This is what I like to see from county executives. Here it is. In direct defiance of Governor Kathy Hochul, newly installed Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman wants to let school districts decide if kids must wear masks inside buildings. The Republican official signed a trio of executive orders Thursday, including one that would give Nassau's school boards the ability to scrap student mask mandates. Arguing that Albany was imposing an autocracy upon the state, Blakeman repeatedly ripped Hochul's mask decrees prior to the signing. School boards are comprised of this is a quote from Bruce Blakeman himself. Quote, school boards are comprised of elected officials who make decisions based upon the unique circumstances of each district, Blakeman said at a Thursday press conference. They are in the best position to make these decisions, not in an autocracy in Albany. Couldn't agree more. But Hochul fired back at Blakeman later Thursday and suggested that his orders would ultimately prove toothless. The governor said, quote, state laws will prevail, and that, quote, children in masks, that is safer for them. I hope I don't need to say any more on that topic, Hochul said. This woman, Kathy Hochul, believes that she is just the emperor of New York State. She is as insufferable, as evil, and as dangerous to freedom as just about anything that's out there. Kathy Hochul, I think, right now, might be starting to sweat. First of all, the rally up in Albany looked like a huge success. To anybody who was there on Wednesday the 5th, great job. I heard of nothing, absolutely nothing that went on that day from a from a violent standpoint, from a disorderly conduct standpoint. It looked like a big success. It looked like a great time. And it looked like a large crowd, a crowd that could send a message. Now, the representatives, I think, were virtual that day, so they weren't in the building. But conceptually, symbolically, the message was sent on Wednesday. And I wish I could have came and joined you. I had to work. But I wish I could have came and joined you in Albany. If I could have been there, I would have been there. But I got tied up at work and couldn't make it. But the governor, we saw what happened with Hochul earlier in the year when she instituted Mask Mandate 2.0. And I, like many others, I posted this on my personal Facebook last night, and a lot of people started reacting to it. And it looks like it did what I wanted it to do a little bit. But ever since Mask Mandate 2.0 on December 13th, 2020, that's when it was implemented, I have worn a mask in a grand total of 0 stores. Okay? I have worn it in 2 schools, once for work and once for a board meeting. Okay? And I've worn it in the airport and on airplanes because they're just crazy if it slips down underneath your nose. But a supermarket, a 7-Eleven, a CVS, a Walmart, a Walgreens, a TJ Maxx, all those different stores, no, I don't wear the mask. And if people are like, well, I got kicked out of a store. I don't know how you're getting kicked out of stores. Are they chasing you around the store? I mean, if they're going that far to chase you around the store to make sure that you wear a mask, I mean, I don't really want to shop there. But I haven't run into any problems. I've had somebody go, you got to wear a mask. And I told the person, no, I don't, and called the county right in front of her to show her that they're not enforcing it. Where usually I'll walk in, if they're going to say something about a mask, I just walk right past them. They're not going to chase me. They're not going to chase me. And when I put that up yesterday, that I'd worn a mask mandate in a grand total of 0 stores, there were people who wrote, oh, wow, I haven't tried yet. If that's you and you haven't tried yet, start trying. Start trying to walk into places with that mask out, with that mask off. Start trying to participate in normal activities without a mask and wait for someone to give you a problem. This does 2 things for you. Number 1, it gets you back in the habit of not listening, despite what Kathy Hochul wants. We don't care about what she wants. Number 2, it starts to identify who you can or who you should and shouldn't be shopping with. If there are stores out there that are just not going to serve you because you're not wearing a mask, that's their right. They can do exactly that if they want to. But if you do walk into an establishment and they do refuse you service because you're not wearing a mask, it is your right to never shop there again. And if you make the choice to never shop there again, or you make the choice to share a negative experience about masking in a store with your friends, and you encourage your like-minded friends to never shop there again, that's well within your right as well. To any business or entity that is going to enforce an unenforceable, immoral, illogical, and irrational mask mandate, when cloth masks now have been proven, they're out there saying it, they don't work. Okay, they don't work. For those of you businesses who are going to enforce it, and for those of you Karens out there who can't help it but go absolutely crazy when the mask dares to slip. Look at this. When the mask dares to slip below the nose. Oh, I can't put it on. I have headphones on. If it's here. Oh, no. You are a super spreader. What are you doing? Pull that up over your nose. Okay. Sorry. Now do you feel safe? This, and it's a beautiful mask. It says Trump train on it. Is this keeping me safe? According to the CDC, they're not. So we saw mask mandate 2.0, and we saw a lot of people, especially here on Long Island, just not complying with it. I was upstate 2 weeks after they passed that law. We saw a lot of people up there as well not complying with it. And we saw a lot of counties come out across New York State and also say we're not enforcing it. When you look at it and you look at the amount of counties that stood up against Kathy Hochul and said absolutely not. When you look at now Nassau County, Bruce Blakeman, who had originally, after winning elections, said that, we're going to give that up. We're going to leave that up to the people. We're not going to enforce this. His roots came from those Unmask the Kids rallies. He spoke at our rally in Bethpage. He spoke on the back of my pickup truck. It was a great thing. We actually burned masks that day in the park. Right in Bethpage that day. And when you look at Bruce Blakeman, he's the first one in the entire state, the very first county executive to take this much action against the governor. Now, there are a lot of counties in New York. Where are the other county executives? Well, it is my hope now. It is my hope now that other county executives will see what Bruce Blakeman did and also do it. To the folks that are watching the stream from other counties here in New York State, like Suffolk, call Steve Ballone. I doubt he's going to do anything. But it's time to pressure him and say, you know what? Out west in Nassau County, they're doing the right things. If you are upstate right now, in upstate New York, whatever you consider upstate, near Albany, or you're in Sullivan County, which is like downstate but upstate to Long Islanders, or Otsego County, or Shenango County, or Broome County, over there, our friends in Binghamton, or Delaware County, or Erie County, wherever you are, if you have somebody who identifies as a Republican in leadership, or even a Democrat like Steve Ballone, it is time to pester them. It is time to bother them. It is time to light up their phones. It is time to light up their emails. It is time to attach article after article after article of what Bruce Blakeman in Nassau County did. Because it has a chance. It has a chance of putting Kathy Hochul in check here. It has a chance to finally, maybe hold her accountable. Maybe. And when you look at the fact that Bruce Blakeman is the lone soldier right now, the lone warrior, the only one standing up, but that it's our guy who's doing it, that it's someone that we've known for a while, that it is a Long Island guy getting up, standing up, and being the leader that we knew he could be leading up to that election in 2021. It's inspiring. And I'll tell you how we're going to use this. Bruce Blakeman doing what he did, signing that order to the other counties in New York State that didn't want to enforce the mask mandates. If you are a Republican county executive in one of those counties, sign the exact same orders today. Do it today. Rebel against Kathy Hochul today. Start that process now. Because we already started that process. We already did. right? We already started the process of, at the local level, pushing back against Kathy Hochul when a bunch of these counties decided we're not enforcing the mask mandate. That was the first crack in the armor that I can remember seeing of Kathy Hochul. It is time now for other county executives to do what Bruce Blakeman did. And it is time to, even if we have to over-exaggerate how satisfied we are with Bruce Blakeman, we need to send a message to the rest of the state that other county executives, Bruce Blakeman's been in office for what, 5 days? If that? And he's already doing this. So Kathy Hochul said, okay, well, it might not stand, you know. State law overrides county. Just shows you how much power she thinks she has. And she may be right ultimately. We'll see what happens in the courts. But he's trying. He's trying. And that's all we could ask from some of these folks right now is to try. Remember when the school boards were thinking about that lawsuit? Just try. Try to sue the state. Nobody else has done it. Nobody else. No other county executives, no other elected leaders have done what Bruce Blakeman has done. Well, now it's time for these other elected leaders to join in this fight. Now it's time for these other county officials and county executives to join in this fight. If we start to see 5, 6, 7, 8 other counties where their executives are signing these executive orders that are pissing off the teachers union, the evil, NICET teachers union that wants nothing more than to close down schools and keep the kids home. That wants nothing more than universal masking forever. That wants something more than universal vaccines. They said this in the little propaganda that I was sent by a brave patriot. Public health, the New York State Teachers Union, or back in the article here, also opposed Blakeman's offensive on Albany. Quote, public health experts have been unequivocally clear that masks are an important part of the strategies designed to keep students, educators, and our communities safe. Said NICET chief communist, I added communist, Andy Pallotta in a statement. And the governor was clear this afternoon that state law prevails in this matter. New York State Education Commissioner Betty Rosa asserted that the order won't supersede the state directive. Quote, school officers take an oath to obey all legal requirements, Rosa said in a statement. It is the state education department's expectation that school boards will follow all legal requirements, including the face covering regulation. Blakeman said he was confident that the order carries sufficient legal weight to enable districts to defy state masking rules, but remains to be seen. This executive order gives the school districts their own individual right to make decisions within the county under our home rule authority that we have as a county, he said. Our county is larger than 9 states, and we don't need people in Albany telling us what we should be doing. Attaboy. Attaboy. You know, there's a lot of politicians that do the all talk, no action. There's a lot of politicians who say they're going to do things, say they're going to do things, say they're going to do things, and never do them. There are a lot of politicians that say they're going to take action, enforce legislation, push for legislation to be, and then you never hear from them again. And then there's Bruce Blakeman. I'll be honest with you, a man that I had never heard of up until these rallies that started taking place on Long Island. A man who defied the odds out in Nassau County. He wasn't supposed to win that race. A Republican was not supposed to be the county executive of Nassau. Laura Curran was not supposed to lose. But she did. Why? Well, because you had idiot bail reform Todd Kaminsky on the ballot, and she even said that. But Bruce Blakeman has finally done what we have been waiting to see officials do in the state, and I can only hope that he is the first and not the last, because I believe if you see dozens, let's say, 10 to 15 to 20 county executives sign the exact same orders that Bruce Blakeman just signed, I would love to see this governor try to stop it. Because now you're not just coming at one county. Now you're going to be coming at a very large portion of the state. Tactically here, Bruce Blakeman might be putting Kathy Hochul in a very, very dangerous position for her reelection chances. And I could not be more excited to be telling you about that this morning. So what does that do for us going forward? If Kathy Hochul decides to fight with Bruce Blakeman and to pursue this, to make sure that what he's done with these orders, that none of that comes to light, that none of that comes to fruition, you will now see a governor targeting one specific county in her own state in a re-election year. A huge county, Nassau County. Not a smart move. Not a smart move. She's going to have to double down on mandates, and that is the biggest hot button issue right now in the state, is the mandate issue. Are hospitals overwhelmed or are hospitals short-staffed? If they're short-staffed, where did all the staff go? Did all the staff get fired? Did all the staff get fired or laid off or told to stay home because they're not vaccinated? Could that be where the staffing problems are coming from? No, it couldn't be that. Couldn't be that. No way. No, it's that. That's what it is. We're not seeing people returning to work because work is requiring that the people get a vaccine that has clearly been shown to not do what it was originally said to do. I want you to remember the lies that we were told at the beginning of this obsession with the vaccine. I want you to remember the lies. They said it would stop transmission. They said if you got it, you couldn't get sick. They said if you got it and you did get sick, you couldn't spread it. That is the biggest anti-science load of garbage that anybody can go ahead and tell you. So when you look at a guy like Blakeman, when you look at a guy like him, and you look at a situation like Nassau County, and you see now, is the governor going to call his bluff? Is the governor going to absolutely target one county and single out one county? If she does that, it will be used against her in this re-election cycle. If other counties stand up and she starts to wage war against a larger portion of the state, this is going to anger even more people. Excuse me. This is going to anger even more people and inspire even more local action. And for those of us in the state who do not have Republican leadership at the top of their counties, it will inspire action to make that very thing possible. Replace your ineffective leaders. Replace your weak leaders. If you cannot change their minds, you change their names. The two biggest issues that I believe that are going to be issues that we need to focus on going into 2022 is education and mandates, in no particular order. In some aspects, education will prove to be more important. In some aspects, and sometimes, the mandates will prove to be, not that one's more important than the other, but will be at the forefront, right? So this week we may be talking about mandates. Next week we may be talking about CRT, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those two issues are issues that the governor continues to dig herself into holes over. Mandates are nationally not popular. Mandates are nationally not popular. And yet, what are we watching? We're watching a governor just completely get obsessed and double and triple and quadruple down on mandates. If that's the race that she's going to have to run in November, how appealing is it for a governor to say, well, I'm the mandate queen. If you elect me, I will make sure that these mandates stay in place. I.e., if you elect me, you get less rights. You get less freedom. I think Bruce Blakeman, I really do. I think he's handing us a gift here. Whether this sticks or not, it's the challenge. It's the pushback. It's the boldness. It's the do factor. The fact that Bruce Blakeman right now is not afraid to do something. It's a wonderful play. It's a wonderful tactical move by Bruce Blakeman, because now what we can do is it's what's going to put her on record. Either she's not going to enforce it and it's going to be that she's all talk, no action, or she's going to enforce it and target one of the largest counties in the state and upset a lot of people and set the precedent that that's what kind of governor, that's what kind of ruler, so to speak, that she is. I think if she doubles down on this and she tries to penalize Blakeman in Nassau County, that it's a massive misstep on her part and a beautiful chess move by Bruce Blakeman. So, standing ovation, Bruce Blakeman. If you're in Nassau County today, if you live in Nassau County, you need to look it up, call his office, and say thank you. Say thank you to Bruce Blakeman for representing the best interests of the people of Nassau County, and respectively, because of the action that it may cause through the ripple effect. Thank Bruce Blakeman for standing up, not just for Nassau County, but for the entire state and for freedom. Because that is exactly what he is doing. I know there are going to be people, he's going to get terrible press. He's going to get called a super spreader and a killer and a white super. They're going to call him all sorts of terrible things, right? We, the people, need to make sure that he knows that we support these actions and that we support him. I would say congratulations to Nassau County. You see what local elections have the ability to do. You see why we were so engaged in the local elections. You see why we were so imperative that we've got to participate in the process, no matter how local or how far-reaching an election's consequences may be. Nassau County Supervisor, 516-489-6000. Call that number and tell Bruce Blakeman thank you today, folks. Tell Bruce Blakeman thank you for what he did today. As far as Steve Ballone goes, if you're in Nassau County, as far as Steve Ballone goes, I will give you his phone number to his office so that we can also give him a call today if he makes it into work. There's a little bit of snow. Steve Ballone's phone number is 631-203-4498 or 631-853-4000. That's Steve Ballone, a Suffolk County executive. 631-203-4498 or 631-853-4000. Tell him to do what Bruce Blakeman did in Nassau County. Tell him to stand up for his people. I doubt he will, but he needs to hear us tell him to do it. It's time to put pressure on these local leaders. We've shown that we can control these elections. We've shown that we can win these elections when we participate in numbers. We've shown that. it is now time to let these leaders know that if they do not act like Bruce Blakeman has acted, that they will soon be out of a job come their next term. Joe Biden's approval rating is 35%. I might be getting to that. But what I want to talk about is a little bit of the January 6th stuff, because obviously I don't talk about that a lot, but we are 1 year removed from the incident, and I want to let everybody know exactly where I stand on a couple of things. Number one, what's happening in the D.C. jail and the abuse of political prisoners right now in Washington, D.C., a year removed from January 6th is absolutely disgusting. There are folks being held in the D.C. jail, and a lot of you guys know this. There are folks being held in the D.C. jail right now that have not been put on trial yet, that are being held on charges of, trespassing and rioting and all these different things, that have not had a trial yet. There's a story of one man in the D.C. jail right now who has celiac disease, which is the gluten allergy, and they're giving him gluten-laden foods. Now, I'm not someone here who's making an excuse for anybody who broke the law on January 6th. If you destroyed property on January 6th, if you violently entered the Capitol on January 6th, if you had violence in mind at all on that day, if you had intentions on, like Ray Epps, where is Ray Epps? If you had intentions on going into the Capitol before all of that started, if you're a violent rioter, one way or the other, whether it happened at the Capitol or whether it happens in Portland or Seattle or Minneapolis or St. Louis or Baltimore or Michigan or Wisconsin, right? Or New York City or Chicago or Los Angeles or San Francisco. Whether it happens in any of those places, it's wrong. I condemn rioting always. It's not some riots are okay, some riots are not okay. I'm not a leftist. If you broke the law on January 6th and you were behaving violently, you deserve to be held accountable, but the treatment needs to be humane. Sticking somebody in the D.C. jail in solitary confinement for walking around the Capitol, if that's what, no good. Sticking someone in the D.C. jail and neglecting their health to the point where this person may die is inhumane. When charges are being dropped all across the country for quote-unquote insurrections that happened all throughout the summer of 2020. And so because News 12 decided they were going to butcher and chop up the segment that I made for them and barely put it on because it's a viewpoint that they definitely don't agree with, and I loved getting on there with them just to watch that one reporter squirm when I was saying that, well, by the way, we don't live in a democracy. Oh my gosh, what does that mean? Well, we don't. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. We do not live in a democracy. It's a threat to our democracy. I say, what democracy? There's a democracy here? Gee, I didn't know that. I was told that it was a constitutional republic. And so when you see everything that happens with January 6th and you hear the words terrorist attack from guys like Ted Cruz, that was bad. Or Tucker grilled him last night. When you hear terms like insurrection or rebellion, or they took up arms or tried to overthrow the government. It was an insurrection, they say. Well, I ask only one question because I like to ask questions, which is a big no-no for the free speech haters out there known as liberals. If this was an insurrection, And they call it a deadly insurrection. The only person who died on January 6th was Ashley Babbitt. Officer Brian Sicknick lost his life, but we were told through an autopsy that it was natural causes, not related to January 6th and the riot. If you want to hear, if you want to look at what happened on January 6th, and you want to look at what the liberals are calling it, an insurrection, a rebellion, an overthrow, and all these terrible, these names. And they want to cite all those charges. Oh my goodness, look at all the people that were arrested at the How come none of them, not one, has been charged with insurrection? How come none of these people have been charged with treason or trying to overthrow the government? How come they're only getting charges for trespassing and destruction of property and disorderly conduct? Right? They're not talking about them and saying, well, we've got 700 people that have been arrested and 400 of them have charged and convicted of insurrection. You see, because that's what happened at the Capitol. No. We don't see those charges. We're not seeing those charges, are we? We're not seeing people getting charged with insurrection or treason or all these terrible things. We're not seeing that. Not one person has been charged with anything like that. And if this was an insurrection at the Capitol, if this riot was an insurrection at the Capitol, then what are we calling what happened in the summer of 2020? I'm not saying one was right and one was wrong. Not at all. But if this riot at the Capitol, in which only one person died, and that was one of the rioters, if you want to say that she was a rioter. Well, she was on the same side, I guess, as the rioter, as the rioters there. If this was an insurrection at the Capitol, then what was the summer of 2020? The fiery but mostly peaceful protests. The firebombing of a federal courthouse in Portland, night after night after night, with employees in the building. The takeover, seizure, and occupancy of 5 city blocks in the city of Seattle that was later called Chaz and Chop, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, and the Capitol Hill Occupied protest in Seattle in the summer of 2020, when 5 blocks of a major U.S. city were taken over. Small businesses within the autonomous zone were extorted. People died in that Chaz area. People died as a result of CHOP. A child was shot and killed in Seattle because of violence in this autonomous zone, because government was shut out, because police were locked out of that territory. They couldn't help them in time. That literally was the overthrow of local government. That literally was an insurrection. Members of that city went berserk and took over 5 city blocks, barricaded people out, had armed security at the entrances of their Chaz zone. And it was encouraged by the mainstream media. It was applauded by the mainstream media. It was reported on as, no, don't, it's just a protest. There were people that lived in some of those apartment buildings that were caught up in that said that the people running Chaz were a bunch of drug lords. It was being run like one of those cities down in Mexico or Latin America where it was run by criminals. The inmates ran the asylum. Small businesses, residents were being extorted. Now, we're still extorted by government every single day, but that's called taxes. They called it the summer of love. Nobody wants to report on that. Nobody wants to say that there was an insurrection in 2020 and it was in the summer. Nobody wants to say that there was an attack on the White House in the summer of 2020. When the president did have to be brought into a bunker by Secret Service. When several members of the Secret Service, according to Dan Bongino, who still has friends in the Secret Service from when he used to work for the Secret Service, they said that losing the White House those couple days felt like it was a real possibility. That wasn't an insurrection. But this nonsense that happened at the Capitol, which literally was a protest that got out of control. It was a protest that went awry. It was a protest that 95% of those people that were there behaved peacefully and had no idea that people were running amok inside the Capitol building. Now, luckily for me, and I'm not sure if these clowns still watch this live stream because they've been watching it. They used to watch it all the time. Luckily for me, Antifa didn't like me very much last year. Luckily for me, for those of you who were with us that day, you know exactly what happened to a bunch of our vehicles. I told this to News 12 yesterday. I knew they weren't going to put this on the air because they couldn't dare do this. But if you traveled down with us to D.C. last year on January 6th to attend the peaceful protest, which is what we did. I can't speak for other people, but I know that's what we did. And you parked with us at the Fort Totten rail station, a rail station that shares a lot with the police department. Then you know that our tires got slashed last year on our way back from D.C. Now, I told that to News 12 yesterday. I said, everyone wants to talk about this insurrection. Everybody wants to talk about politically motivated violence and vandalism. Well, I'm a victim of politically motivated violence and vandalism. My tires got slashed on that day, and you don't see me throwing a national temper tantrum saying that it's an insurrection. Of course, News 12 wasn't going to put that on TV last night. There's no chance. But this is a two-tier justice system. Certain people are allowed to get away with things, certain people aren't. But thank you, Antifa, for slashing my tires, because what that has done and what that allowed me to do was timestamp where I was on that day, what I was doing at what time on that day. I got phone calls from friends who got back to our vehicles early, who said your tires are slashed. Not just yours, but 6, 7 other vehicles that came down with you, tires were slashed. And I said, we have to leave. I had already wanted to leave because the protest got violent and I didn't want to be a part of that. But I said, we've got to go. We've got to go. And so one more time, thank you to Antifa, because what you guys allowed me to do is put my name on a police report. And by putting my name on a police report at the time that I put it on that police report, there was no possible way that at that time, when I was reporting the vandalism to the police, that I had been able to be at any point involved in any of the violence or madness on January 6, 2021. Now, had Antifa not slashed my tires, had there not been that documentation, had there not been those pictures of me with the slashed tires timestamped at that time, which proves that I could not have been at the Capitol, maybe things could have been a little different. You know, right after January 6th, there were a bunch of people on Twitter who were trying to say that it was me walking through the Capitol because somebody had a little tricorn hat on. And so that's him. Well, we knew that I wasn't wearing that hat on that day, and I had pictures of me not in that hat on that day. But the point of the matter is there were people who wanted to take us down. I know folks who spoke to the feds, and one of the questions that they are asked is, what is your relation to Long Island Loud Majority? Now, maybe I shouldn't be sharing that with you because maybe that's going to scare you, but it shouldn't. Because throughout the 16 months that we've been rallying and getting together and protesting and taking action, nobody that I know has done anything that would get them in ridiculous legal trouble, you know, with regards to January 6th or the FBI like that. Don't be afraid. When I heard these stories that people were talking to the feds and they brought up Loud Majority, they brought up my name. You know, I know somebody from Connecticut who showed up in a picture just with me at the Washington Monument that day. And the FBI saw that picture, saw my face, and said, "What do you know about him?" This happened. And I was told that this happened. And this was 5-6 months ago, maybe more. A friend of mine from Connecticut called me and said, "Hey, you know, the FBI reached out. They know I was there. I know I did nothing wrong, but I'm in a picture with you." And they asked. I'm not surprised. But we didn't stop for 1 minute. Because I know that Antifa, I know that because they decided that they had to poke those tires, that they had to slash those tires, because those of us who were down there at Fort Totten filed those police reports, there ain't nothing the feds can do about it. We did nothing wrong that day. There's proof that we did nothing wrong that day. And there's proof. There's cold, hard proof that those of us who had our cars vandalized were not a part of the violence that took place on January 6th. So to Antifa, who thought they were getting one up on us a year ago today, who sent me videos after they did it of them actually doing it a year ago today, I say thank you. Because the $200 or $300 that we had spent each on tires and the service and all of that, a hell of a lot cheaper than a lawyer having to prove that we didn't do anything at the Capitol. Thank you, Antifa. Thank you so much. You don't know how much of a headache you saved me, and I'm sure so many other people, by being the idiotic morons that you are. Coming and slashing our tires, thinking you were getting the last laugh. Sucks to be you, because we've kind of flipped the script. So thank you, Antifa, for a year ago today, slashing my tires and giving me a reason to put my name on a police report at a time that now proves that none of us were a part of the violence at the Capitol. It's a blessing in disguise, and I am very thankful for it. So once again, to Antifa, thank you so much. All right, look at the chat. The chat is it's blowing up. It's a little low energy today. I spent all night here last night because I didn't want to drive here in the snow this morning, and the snow is coming down right on par with what was expected. I think the National Weather Service had upped their totals to 5 to 7 inches. I was sticking with 3 to 6, with 4 to 8, and maybe locally heavier, especially as you go out east. Looks like a nice little storm. Didn't look like it mixed at all. And it is still snowing at a steady clip. It is 29 degrees outside. So you are dealing with a very nice, dry, powdery snow. And hopefully you guys, when you're getting around today, digging in, digging out, whatever you've got to do, you're getting around safe. If you're driving a smaller car, maybe wait for them roads to get plowed. If you got to get to work, I don't blame you. You got to do what you got to do. I'll be working today as well. But enjoy it for the kids that are off from school. Enjoy the snow day. I will say that this 4 inches of snow and the fact that you have off today is stupid. Back in the day, we were going to school in blizzards. Now they close school if there are flurries, but I get it. Safety, etc., etc. I see Tatiana Ibrahim is once again. We got to get you on, Tatiana. Let's talk after the show. Send us an email, loudmajorityus.com. Let's do an interview or something. I really want to get involved because we're getting into school boards, and I think we need to start motivating each other in different areas of the state. So, Tatiana, if you're down, I'm down. I know we talked about it a few months ago, but I want to do something. Let's collaborate and let's start waking people up. I know there was deplatforming going on with Twitter, but let's do what we can. Because I do believe that we can, and I'm not sure if you're also on Instagram, but we gotta get louder. Yesterday, I was on the Speak Truth Without Fear podcast with Jordan Sarmo on Instagram yesterday, and Ross and Emma. It was a great time on the Speak Truth Without Fear podcast. That should be uploaded to Rumble. I'll be able to get you those links. It was a fun time. We got to make these connections both throughout the state and throughout the country. And so, Tatiana, I think I'm going to be sending you a message, or send us a message at loudmajorityus.com. Email us, and let's get in contact, because I believe school boards are the next big thing. We need to start pushing back at the school boards and start to figure out who's running for what, in what races, and where. Because as we said at the beginning of the show, and as the title says, local leaders need to be bold. And that includes everybody. That includes everybody, from school boards to county executives to the governor. Tatiana just threw her phone number in the chat. Well, she's fearless, you know that. So let me put that number in there, and I'm going to send you a text as soon as this is over, and as soon as the audio and video and everything has been uploaded, and we will be in touch, because I definitely want to work with you. I definitely want to start to form alliances across the state through education and other issues so that we can take back our state in 2022. Lee Zeldin said he was going to reverse a mandate. I believe it was the mask mandate, and he is making that one of his campaign issues for the 2022 campaign, which is very smart of him, as that is the hot button issue, and education is also a hot button issue in the 2022 election. I would like to see Lee Zeldin talk a little bit more about getting rid of the charter school cap in the state. We'll talk to him about that. But I do believe that education is a brilliant way, not just tactically to win it, but it's very important, because this is about our kids. It's more important than winning elections, but it's about the children and the future of the country. And right now they're softening them up, getting them ready to be taken over by a foreign adversary. We are going to reverse that, and we're going to make America great again, because we're going to make education great again in the state of New York. Thank you, folks, for watching on this snowy Friday morning. It's good to be back. It's good to be back 3 days this week. Some interesting stuff happening this weekend. Going into next week, we will be coming with some exciting news. We've been talking to a couple of people. I can't really say what's going on yet, but there was some excuse me. There was some exciting news with regards to the 2022 midterms. There's a couple of meetings that we're going to be doing and sitting with, and folks that we're going to be talking to. So there's going to be a lot of information and a lot more that we're going to get ready to start doing. Until we're ready to start pushing for these congressional candidates in some of these primary races, we are going to get involved in school boards, and I would encourage anybody in any district who wants to start making a difference in school boards, start getting together with parents in your district and coming up with some candidates. I know Middle Country's got a good group that's ready to go. I know Smithtown's got a few candidates ready to go. I know Kings Park and Comac are working on getting people ready to go as well. I know Mount Sinai's got people ready to go. We're still working on West Babylon. We're still working on some of those other school districts that are up there. But we definitely want to help you. So let's start getting those candidates together. Let's start getting those parents together. Let's start meeting, and let's start figuring out how we're going to start taking back our schools and taking back education in the state come May. This way we can run that into the primaries in June and then run that into the general election in November. That's the plan, folks. You know it. You know it. And Tatiana, I am excited to hear the great news that's on your end. I'm excited to hear everything that you have to say. I'll be texting you soon after the show is over. Thank you guys so much for listening and for jumping on this snowy Friday. Remember to head to loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for the newsletter, loudmajorityus.com, loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Head over to the YouTube channel. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and share the show. Head over to Facebook, facebook.com. Long Island Loud Majority is the name of the page. Give it a follow, give it a like, and share it with everybody. Post this video to your personal feed. Post the page up. Do not post our website on Facebook. You will get tagged for spam. It's a community guidelines violation. And in the face of overreaching government mandates, but despite the fact that Bruce Blakeman is a warrior and a savage and a patriot, in the face of tyrannical government mandates and an overactive and overreaching government, a tyrant like Kathy Cuomo in a dress hochul, we say these 4 words over and over and over again until the people in power either get it or get the hell out of our way. What are those 4 words to those wonderful, beautiful, fantastic, highly respected, incredible people in the chat? Okay, what are those 4 words? And if we do not consent, give me the 4 words. Look at the chat. They're doing a fantastic job. You see Barry in the chat. You see Tatiana. You see Jackie from Connecticut. And everybody in the chat is saying it. If we do not consent, we will not comply. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. Stop complying. And, of course, stay loud.